Hi, everyone. I'm excited to chat with you today about the many benefits of blogging and how Fullscript's embeddable product cards are a great way to not only recommend products to patients, but also bring revenue to your practice. As a blogger with a lot of experience and as someone who's seen its benefits, I'm excited to be able to share these tips and tricks with you. So here goes. Let's get started with the top 10 reasons why blogging is important to your practice. Number 1, increase your online visibility and search engine optimization, or SEO. The days of yellow pages and face-to-face referrals are over. When looking for a doctor or an answer to a specific medical question, patients turn to the web. In fact, 21% of participants in a Pew Research study said they vet specific doctors or hospitals before scheduling any in-office appointments. Number 2, control your professional reputation. If you do not establish yourself online, then you're giving other people the power to control your professional narrative. When potential patients search for you, they'll most likely click on one of the first 5 results they come up on Google. The more blogs you write, the more likely you'll appear in their search. Furthermore, being invisible online is making it easier for other practices to take patients. If you don't control it, other people, whether the information is true or not, will come up first in searches. Number 3, gain a loyal patient base and attract the patients you want. Increase patient loyalty and build an easily searchable, positive referral base online by writing about topics patients often ask you questions about. A blog gives you a space to share patient testimonials. And when doctors post testimonials with videos or images from a relatable patient, they tend to generate far more engagement with those blog posts because patients will reshare on their own platforms. This effect is supercharged when testimonial blog posts are shared via your own social media handles. 4, improve patient compliance. By blogging about recommended supplements or strategies to improve conditions, you can passively encourage your patients to implement your recommendations, reinforcing adherence to treatment plans. For example, if you write a post about vitamin D supplements, you can actually use Fullscript's embeddable product cards to provide visual examples that make shopping in your online supplement dispensary just one click away. We'll be showing you how these work shortly. 5, establish your niche and build branding. Nowadays, with everything so saturated in general listicles and overviews of topics, it's an opportunity to establish your specialty and find your niche online. For example, do you specialize in gut health? Then it makes sense to write blogs about specific topics all about gut and digestive health. When someone Googles gut health doctor, chances are you'll come up. 6, keep up to date with the latest medical research. By regularly writing blog posts on subjects your patients often ask you questions about, you naturally tend to stay up to date and read in on the latest research. Staying up to date on all the latest research keeps you sharp and your patients in the know. 7, share blog post information on social media platforms. These days, most people spend the majority of their time online using social media, and more doctors have Instagram accounts to share their more robust content. The content you put together for blog posts can be chopped down and shared via Twitter or Instagram, and without a blog to promote on social, you're missing an opportunity to drive high-quality engagement with your audience. You can also create patient handouts or e-links to accompany individual treatment plans and supplement recommendations. Number 8, improve clinical empathy through developing reflective writing skills. Writing can improve healthcare providers' empathy and reflection, and reflective capacity and good bedside manner is vital for practitioners. 9, more media coverage and appearance opportunities. When you write blog posts and establish yourself as an authority on the topic, there'll likely be more opportunities and invitations sent to you by media. You'll also be more likely to be asked to present at conferences and possibly be nominated and selected as a reward recipient. And finally, number 10, free advertising and passive income. Your blog functions as your advertising, only better. By sharing sound information with patients, professionals, and prospective patients alike, you have an opportunity to make money just from the number of eyeballs that read your blogs.
If your site has enough monthly visitors, there's a good chance you can make money from Google AdSense, or you can promote supplements and drive sales to your online supplement dispensary. At first, blogging usually feels awkward. It probably doesn't come naturally. But over time, you'll look forward to blogging and you'll write notes to yourself on topics you want to write about. You'll find that the rewards are worth the effort. It's almost next to impossible to have a blog end up on the first page of search engine results without consistently churning out new content. All successful blogs, medical or not, have a solid foundation of well-researched content and consistent postings. But consistently cranking out compelling blog posts that drive traffic organically is no easy feat. These days, if you want someone to read your posts, it's not just about putting out quality information. It's essential you have sound sourcing, consistent formatting, thoughtful uploading, and publishing when it comes to the information you share online. Topic selection, research, writing, and then publishing all have a huge impact on whether you have content that is search engine optimized. In other words, will people looking for trustworthy information like yours be able to easily find it just searching the web? Here are my top tips for writing and publishing blogs, and what you should keep in mind when uploading for search engine optimization, or SEO. Write with a reader in mind. Keep it simple. Give examples. Be relatable. Share personal health journeys. Everyone loves to know how practitioners address medical questions in their personal lives or what supplements they have in their cabinets. Be willing to share. If possible, use a ghostwriter for copy editing to help produce a cohesive piece of content. Keep track of your sources and use credible sources only. Keep titles 70 characters or less. Keep paragraphs short and break up content with images, 2 to 3 sentences at most. Use images, visual aids, and Fullscript's embeddable product cards for specific content. Now, I'm very excited to share with you Fullscript's embeddable product cards feature that you will have access to for attending this webinar. I often use them in my blogs when recommending certain products, and they're great for driving adherence and traffic to my Fullscript store. Here's a quick video on how they work, and then we will have time for some Q&A.
Thanks very much for that, Dr. Hoffman. So I had a question. How have product cards helped you with blogging?
Well, usually I will write articles that pertain to certain medical conditions. And actually, this is something that I did prior to Fullscript. I previously, as many of the people attending this webinar, I had a physical dispensary, and I would link product descriptions to the text in the article with hyperlinks. And so what that would do is that obviously would drive interest and commerce towards my dispensary. With the product cards that I now have with Fullscript, similarly, I might write an article on hypertension, and I might mention 10 nutraceuticals that support treatment of hypertension. And, I can then use those product cards in the place of hyperlinks to feature the products and, actually help the patients obtain the products more easily, but also, frankly, to drive commerce to my website, via my website to Fullscript.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Great answer. What have you found is your most successful strategy in terms of writing blogs, choosing content? I know we got a lot of questions about how do you decide what to write about?
Okay, two basic strategies. One, it's got to be timely. So, for example, I just cited the example of hypertension. They just came out, for example, with recent new guidelines for hypertension. So I wrote an article about that and how they've moved the goalpost on hypertension with 30 to 40 million more Americans now diagnosed with hypertension, and then teed off on natural strategies to address that instead of using medications. The other strategy is to look at sometimes studies that push back on the use of supplements. For example, there's been a lot of negative studies on so-called studies, poorly executed studies on fish oil. And so by looking at those studies and teeing off on the weaknesses of those studies, I can help to do damage control on some of the things that are sort of holding our industry back. And people look to me as an authority. And I think many of you out there are looked at in your communities as authorities on these subjects. And people, they read these headlines, fake news, and they want to push back and do a deeper dive and get some plausible information about the true benefits of supplements. So that's another strategy that drives me. Whenever I see a negative story, I may reply to it.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great example. So I've got a question here. How much time do you dedicate to your blog weekly? And also, how do you find the time to do it? You must be very busy.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. For a long time, I had a full-time practice and a radio show, and I wrote, and that really was a stretch. And I did it for 20 or 25 years. I've restricted my practice now to 2 days per week. And I spend more time working on the media, which I actually find a very satisfying blend. I mean, I really need to see the patients to reality test these strategies, because you can't just read research papers and say, okay, well, this works. It's, you need to field test these products. But then I spend, several hours a week writing articles, maybe, and most, hopefully less than 3 to 4. And then I do a lot of podcasts. And the podcast too, we're talking about blogs, but if you do podcasts, that's a popular thing. You can also append product cards to podcasts when you talk about specific products.
Brilliant. So would you, we have a question here. So would you use one card or would you use multiple cards? Like, how do you balance presenting some choice to the user without perhaps presenting too much choice?
Well, that's true. I mean, you don't want to overwhelm people with, just a blog that's studded with cards. So you want to be selective. I think you probably want to feature at most 2, 3, perhaps 4 products at a time. Otherwise, it just seems a little busy.
Yeah, makes complete sense. So question is, are we allowed to put embeddable cards on our Facebook page or only on our newsletters, blogs? So embeddable, if I answer this one, embeddable product cards are really for websites and blogs. You'll have a hard time using it elsewhere. I don't think it would work in Facebook, and I'm 100% certain it wouldn't work in an email newsletter, for example. It's really about writing blog content that patients want to consume and then putting the product cards with that.
Mm-hmm. And, with your email, you can link to your web page and thereby have the product cards. Maybe your newsletter may not feature a direct link, but that's one way of getting around that. Certainly Facebook, you can't go directly, but if you publish an article on Facebook, then people download it, it goes to your website, and then you can have the product cards there. That's one way of dealing with it.
Okay, so we have a question here. When I share the product card, what will the patient see when they follow the link? Can they request a prescription or consultation? Will they have to create an account to visit the page? So the experience for users when they see a product card is they see the image, they see the name of the product, they see a link, big green link to say view product. When they click that link, it takes them through to your dispensary. So your dispensary on Fullscript. If they have an account and they're already logged in, they'll go straight to the product. If they don't have an account, they'll have to create an account. And then when they create an account, it'll be taken straight to the actual product in your dispensary. Related to that question is, can they request a prescription or consultation? Will they have to create an account to visit the page? So they will have to create an account to visit the page. And they could request a prescription or consultation. What I'd recommend there is put those contact details really readily accessible and very easy to view on your website, because really that's your presence online, that's your brand online, so you want to make it easy for patients to reach out.
But if I'm not mistaken, on the Facebook landing page, there's information about your practice. There's a little section, right?
Yeah, so when you log in, there is information about you as a practitioner.
Okay.
So you have a question here, really interesting one. So any concern with making supplemental recommendations without knowing the history of the person reading your blog?
You know, that's a good question, and I anticipated this question. There should be, and you know, check with your local climate for this, because you know, people all over the country, different regulations, different states, when it comes to the regulatory climate. You want some kind of disclaimer on your website that or on your blog, and my blogs do contain that in our newsletter, for example, that is a general disclaimer that, you know, this is not intended as medical advice, blah, 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 you know, sort of legal boilerplate. If you have a specific condition, seek, you know, medical advice. But I think you can couch these recommendations as plausible strategies that can be utilized. It's not that prescriptive. It's not like, here, you know, for this, you take that, and that's the end of the story. So, you know, I think that's a good question. You don't want to court liability by making recommendations or suggesting that people stop medications, for example, and utilize these supplements instead.
When they create a new account, do they need a practitioner code? So the way Fullscript works is that patients can create an account, and then you control what they have access to when you create an account. So you can make your catalog open, or you can choose to make it so that only certain products are available. So it's really up to you. It's your choice around how you want your dispensary to function. Okay, so we have a question here. So does this feature show up on our dispensary at this time, or do we have to request it? So this feature is available to everyone who's attending this webinar. We're just enabling it right now. So if you're not seeing it right now, come back in a little while. And then if you're watching this video later, we are sending this out and we are releasing this video later, I believe. And you want access to this feature, I'd encourage you to reach out to support. So it's support@Fullscript, and then they can enable the feature for you. So a great question, Dr. Hoffman. So how do you build your blog? How do you manage that?
Okay. This is something that I've been doing for quite a long time. And you know, marketing happens in a variety of ways. I mean, it's hard, I think, with all the competition out there, to just write a blog and all of a sudden it's going to take off and become viral unless you're really hit the right notes. So you really need to, my strategy has been multifaceted. I've had a radio program. I also do podcasts. I increase visibility by doing social media and gradually building on Facebook and Twitter. I haven't been that active on Instagram, but I think that's also a very plausible place to put recommendations. And you have to establish an identity. I think it's useful to focus on one particular area. That's one strategy. Or you can become sort of the eclectic point and shoot expert on virtually everything. That's another strategy. You have to really find out who you are That's you've really asked that question of yourself. Who are you? What type of patient do you want to attract? And then that'll guide your choices in terms of material that you're going to put out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there are a lot of tools out there for blogging. WordPress is one, Tumblr is one. There are so many tools out there, and you can also rely on a local web developer to help you with that if you want. So
there are marketing people who actually specialize in helping you do that. Of course, that can be a little costly, but I do recommend it because they'll help to hone your strategy. They'll help to get the word out, and also they'll help you with website development, so that your website represents you properly and increases your eyeballs.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a question here: is can you customize who gets to see how much of your catalog? Yes, absolutely. You can either set your catalog as fully open, in which case every product is available to your patient, or you can set it as a closed catalog. If you set it as a closed catalog, you can create favorites categories, group those products into that, and then you're really managing and curating that experience for that user.
And I might add that also may preclude the possibility that people are using products that you don't necessarily approve of, which may reduce your Hangout liability.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there a charge for using product cards? No, we don't charge for using Fullscript. The standard margin settings apply. So there is no extra charge for using product cards, and there is no real charge for using Fullscript. Okay, so are there certain words that you intentionally repeat to improve your SEO? I'll take a stab at this one, and then I'd be interested in your experiences. So the thing about SEO is it's really about good content that people want to read. Yes, like if you're talking about a certain topic, you should certainly mention that topic. You should maybe make that topic in the title. But other than that, if you write good content that has good grammar, good sentence structure, that people want to read, then yes, that is SEO. A good web developer will help you with SEO too. But really, every time anyone ever asks me about SEO, I always come back to it's about writing good content that people want to read.
Right. You could start with that, Richard, but there is a sort of a magic formula to this, and they're experts at SEO optimization, and of course they charge for their expertise, but it's well worth it. There's also the reverse phenomenon these days in social media. It's very interesting. There's throttling down, and you can actually put up a blog, and all of a sudden you may say, well, gee, I usually get like 500 hits. And all of a sudden you put something up and you say, oh my goodness, there's only been like 2 or 3 hits on this. Well, what did I say wrong? And there's a mysterious algorithm in Facebook and Twitter that spots what they consider fake news or something that is un-PC, and you may suddenly discover that you have an unsuccessful blog. It ostensibly seems very compelling to you, and then it just goes dead because of the key words that you present, and that it's just a mystery how these algorithms throttle down certain things. It's called shadow banning sometimes.
Yeah, it's a whole world unto itself. Okay, so we have a question. I think I answered a question earlier. Sorry, different question. So when a patient clicks on a product card, and let's say that patient belongs to another, or already has a prescription from another practitioner. Let's say they've gone to see a practitioner in your area, and then they go to see you. They've taken that prescription from the first practitioner. Then they go to your website. They click on a product card. What will happen there? So that will be linked to your account, not the original practitioner's account. If they order a product as a result of viewing your blog, clicking on your product card, that order will be attributed to you. So a really great question here is, when I write articles for my site, I have turned off the comments due to all the spam. Do you see a problem with that? Is it better to allow comments? Is it better to not allow comments? What are your thoughts, Dr. Hoffman?
Yeah, generally I have not included a comment section. Because what generally happens is, I mean, you can write an article about the benefits of curcumin, and a few lines down, it'll devolve into a debate about Donald Trump. Somehow, it's a very strange phenomenon with insults hurled back and forth. So I actually don't find the comments that valuable. What I do suggest is an avenue for patients to be able to ask you questions. And I have an email that's designated that way. And I also have a feature on my website that enables patients to record a question. And that's great for podcasts. It's also great grist for the mill for blogs, because after a while, sometimes you say, gee, what the heck am I going to talk about today? And then you say, well, here's an excellent question from one of our listeners, and let's address that question.
Okay. So it's almost it is 1 o'clock. We've actually overrun. So I wanted to thank you, Dr. Hoffman, for joining us here today. Thank you for all your insights. Thank you for all your advice. One last question, and it's a perfect one. Where is Dr. Ronald Hoffman's blog?
Oh, it's thank you. It's drhoffman.com, and there you'll find the articles. We prefer to call them articles, but in fact they're blogs, and also podcasts, and all the content is organized there. drhoffman.com.
Perfect. So thank you everyone for joining us. I'm really glad you've managed to join us today, everyone. I'm really excited to see what people do with these product cards. If you have any questions around product cards, around blogging, or around just generally using Fullscript, then please do reach out to support. It's support@fullscript.com. And thank you very much.